Hello guys, so I'm trying a little bit different setup today. I've got some new pieces of equipment such as a tripod, which I'm using now, and a lapel mic, which I've got attached to my pocket here. So if the audio sounds a little bit different, that's why. That's also why I'm trying a different setup, seeing what I can do. Unfortunately, because of the setup, I can't use my LED lamp that I normally use. It creates too much of backlighting and it silhouettes me. So I've got another lamp set up over there, but unfortunately it was too bright, and my actual studio lights won't be in until tomorrow. And I thought about just waiting and putting this video off, but I was like, no, I want to get it out. So I just threw a piece of paper over it to kind of soften lighting a little bit. But anyway, in this video today, I want to talk about necromancy, and more specifically, would it be useful in real life? Would it be an actual plausible school of power or magic? And by plausible, I don't mean realistic, because of course it's not realistic. But I mean, like, if it existed, would it be useful? Would it be worth pursuing, or would it be worth learning? When I refer to necromancy in this video, I'm referring more to the raising of the dead to use as a weapon or as a soldier, not so much raising the dead to communicate for information or predicting the future as it was historically used, or how it was historically believed to have been used. I'm not really sure how to say that. Anyway, I'm referring more to necromancy in the sense that it's portrayed in video games and movies as raising the dead to fight for the necromancer. Conceptually, necromancy seems extremely useful, powerful, and unstoppable. But I'm not so sure that it's as useful, powerful, or unstoppable as you might think at first glance. And I'm not sure it'd be any more practical than a traditional army. But before we can accurately nerd out and overanalyze this school of magic, we first have to decide on how necromancy works. So I've identified what I believe to be the three most common ways that necromancy is portrayed within films, movies, and other forms of pop culture. And I'm going to look at each one of those three individually here. Number 1. In this portrayal of necromancy, a spell is cast on a body, and that body returns to life as a mindless entity under the full control of the necromancer for a period of time. After a period of time, the exact time varies from one fictional universe to another, but the spell wears off and the creature returns to being dead. Since, with this method, the raised entity is mindless, its fighting ability would be mediocre at best. That would make this creature a poor choice for a bodyguard or other adventuring companion. A human companion or even a trained dog would be a much better choice for this role. Furthermore, that would make the creature nearly impossible to travel with you, since the spell would only last for a few days at least, depending on the fictional universe once again. So you'd be forced to either carry a dead body with you that you could resurrect when the time is right, which seems massively unnecessary and over-intensive. So unless you happen to get attacked in a graveyard, this form of necromancy is pretty much useless. Number 2. This form of necromancy is similar to last in that the beings are raised mindless, but the difference is that the spell would last for an unlimited amount of time. The problem is that these raised creatures would still be crap fighters, and any semi-competent swordsman could easily dispatch 2 to 3 of them. With that being said, that means that this form of necromancy would lend itself well to being used with large numbers. Even a master swordsman would have a difficult time taking on 10 or 12 of these raised creatures. The difficult part, however, would be finding 10 corpses to turn into your raised creatures. Even more difficult if you're trying to raise a large army. It's not like people just leave dead bodies lying around. Even if you wanted to hit graveyards, people would likely start to notice their dead relatives getting up and walking away before you could amass a large enough army to be considered unstoppable. Since individually living human warriors would be more competent and more skilled and just in general superior, I believe you would need a 10-to-1 ratio. That is 10 undead soldiers to the 1 living soldier. That means to be able to compete with a medieval army of 1,000 soldiers, you would need an undead army of 10,000 soldiers. And unless you could hit the Wadi al-Salam cemetery in Iraq or the Calvary cemetery in New York, you would have to do a lot of graveyard raiding. The last most common form of necromancy is when after being resurrected, the undead creatures keep their memories, thoughts, and personalities. Essentially, they're humans in decaying bodies kept alive through magic. While they may not feel pain or get hungry, they are still mostly human. That means they come with all the advantages and all the disadvantages of being human too. They feel emotions, they have wants and desires, and they have morals. Also, while some of the undead creatures may stay loyal to you for resurrecting them, many of them would likely defect back to the army to which they belonged before they died. That means you could unintentionally end up reinforcing your enemy. So, going across a battlefield afterwards with this form of necromancy doesn't necessarily guarantee bolstering your own forces. You'd have to pick and choose. And of course, I'm assuming here that since they have their own minds, thoughts, and feelings, once you've resurrected them, you don't have control of them, so you can't just be like, oh, you don't want to be loyal to me? Fine, you're dead. I'm assuming that once you've resurrected them, you have no control. That's why you would, if you did this, you would have to lock them in cages, see which ones are loyal, and kill them. This creates a lot of issues, and this is a lot of extra work, and they could always lie and say yes, they're loyal to you, and at the first chance, run away. Also, since these undead creatures have their own thoughts and ambitions, the undead creatures you surrounded yourself with to protect you and to fight for you could very well end up being the creatures who seek your demise. So if this form of necromancy gives you an army that is very close to human, why even bother? Why not have a traditional living human army in the first place? So this was just a bit of a nerdy topic I thought you guys might like. I know necromancy is something that intrigues me a little bit. In fact, I've got a couple other necromancy related videos lined up here in the near future, such as what would be some of the best ways to kill necromantic creatures and what would be some actual useful and unique things about necromancy if it existed in real life. But as always, thank you for watching. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can check out my Patreon page, link will be in the description. On my Patreon page, you can find poems and some of the behind the scenes stuff for certain videos and other things. Also, if you want to support the channel, you can actually purchase my debut album, After the Last Battle. It's an Angels Demon story. It actually takes place sort of modern time, post-apocalyptic though, but vast amounts of technology have been lost and it's reverted to the medieval period. But link to that will also be in the description. You can get an ebook or hardback. But again, thanks for watching and thanks for your support.